druid action, or maybe we can see Ikealyou use rogue.
Yeah. Now, this matchup, I think, is very interesting. I actually really like Druid versus Warrior a lot from both sides. I think Warrior tends to feel really comfortable if they can get their armor count up. And it's not like Druid is powerless. I actually really like in this, I really do feel like the Malygos Druid is like a true successor to a way of the Miracle Rogue, even though Miracle Rogue does exist in its current form.
But the version that Georgec, oh sorry, Ikealyou is playing the Malygos version, right? I do believe that is the case.
Yeah.
It was Georgec with the token Druid, yeah. So this one is going to be a Malygos game, and Georgec, in my books, would have an advantage going into this one, just because of the armor ups and the tank ups. It might keep him out of the Malygos combo range, and also the amount of removal tends to be more efficient or more suitable against the low minion count of the Malygos Druid over the token variant.
Yeah, it is a couple of interesting choices here. You see that Ikealyou is running the Ancients of War in the Malygos version. We do see that some people are choosing to cut them. I think Muzzy and Frozen and Faith were the ones really trying to push other versions of it too.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you expect a lot of aggressive decks, maybe it's not that bad of a pick. And Ancient of War can do a lot of work against Warrior if they can't get their armor counts really high too.
Yeah, but it's certainly not like an amazing card against the Warrior because of the execution and the shield slams. I mean, one way to look at it is that if you see an execute on an Ancient of War, maybe the Arcane Giant will then avoid an execute, but Warrior could in many cases have enough removal for each of them in any case.
And this is a matchup where you actually kind of do want that Gadget Stand. A lot of times you're feeling like, if you play this deck on ladder, the Malygos Miracle Druid, and you're playing Gadget Stand, a lot of times, if you're definitely like us, you get into situations where you're like, why am I ever playing Gadget Stand in this deck? You know, I feel like I have no time to play, and if I do, I have to have Innervate in the hand. And then you just play matchups like controlWarrior, and you're like, oh my goodness, like Gadget Stand Auctioneer in this deck is broken. You start thinking about all these combos.
Yeah, Auctioneer is such a great card against controlWarrior, because the biggest weakness of that one is that it's so slow. So if you're playing against an aggressive strategy, you don't really easily find the time for the Auctioneer. But against the controlWarrior, yeah, you'll have the time. You always have the time. And just getting those extra draws, drawing into your threats, drawing into your combos so much earlier can give you a huge advantage.
But the reason why I like playing this matchup from the Druid side is Warrior gives you time to try to go off. So, you know, a lot of times you always dream up these really magical scenarios, Fandral combos with what you can do, or big Malygos damage. You often can do this in this matchup, so it's really fun to play, even though you are at a disadvantage overall. Yep.
Here, I don't think we're gonna see anything else, but just a Ravaging Ghoul and using that minion to remove the Fandral, can save those spot removal cards in his hand for later use for bigger threats.
Yeah, Georgec has Justicar in hands and Gorehowl, so pretty much has the armor and the removal in tandem to kind of keep up with it. One of the big problems with playing Gorehowl in controlWarrior prior to Ironforge Portal was that Gorehowl just means you're trading away so much of your life, and a lot of decks could really punish you for that. And back when you had Shield Maiden and a few of those cards, you had that armor buffer. But now these days with Ironforge Portal, you can actually have some of that.
Yep. Ikealyou choosing to go for the spell. That is the choice that a lot of players are making, usually with the Raven Idol. But in this matchup, I actually wouldn't have blamed him if he just went for the minion and picked the biggest one out of there. But it is a little bit of a gamble, because sometimes you only get 2 drops or 3 drops in there.
You get Pompous Thespian, Ice Rager, and you know the Tiny Fin Murloc. And then, of course, sometimes you get like the random Alviana, and you're like, oh my god, this is amazing.
Yeah, he does have a lot of big minions in his hand, so it might have been a little bit unnecessary in this particular instance. Maybe with the second idol, if he has run out of big minions to play, he could at least consider it.
Yeah, I don't mind playing Elite Star Seeker here as well. Just getting out a very reasonable minion.
Yeah, the Bloodhoof Brave, not too bad either. I think it's a fairly close call.
I think whatever sets up your Gorehowl a little bit better, perhaps. So if you know your opponent is playing Ancients of War, at least plus the Gorehowl kills it.
Oh, that is true. He does have the Execute and the Shield Slam, but not enough armor right now for that. Is he going for the minion? No, going for a spell once again.
He does have a lot of minions in hand. Not a lot of spells with Malygos. Maybe looking for more like Living Roots and Moonfires.
So he is going for a bite here. He had the option to pick the Nourish, which often in a control match is the best possible card to pick up, kind of to be able to get more cards to sustain yourself against the Warrior, but he already has a full hand pretty much, so the extra cards are not so valuable in this instance.
Yeah, so you can see the setup here from George. His anticipation for this was very much so. Ikealyou knows that his opponent has so many ways to remove it too, so he might as well get the Ancients of War out. And plus, if Ancients of War are able to bait out and executes Shield Slams, that means the Arcane Giants get a lot swingier too, so that you can use it as a final checkmate move.
And here comes the second Ancient of War from Ikealyou. But George does have multiple different ways to deal with it.
This could be a chance to finally get use out of Execute. If you know, or sorry, the Revenge and Execute. Revenge is really good against token versions. Not that amazing against Malygos versions. Might as well get use of it if you can.
Yep. Let's see which one he goes for.
Okay. He has Ironforge Portal.
Yep.
And what's his follow-up? He has Bash and then CO Slam. Okay,
yeah.
I think that works.
He could go for that. It feels a little bit off. Maybe the Execute is the better way to go.
Okay.
He's going for the Grom and just gonna use the weapon. Not afraid to be using his life as a resource. He knows that he has a lot of ways to gain armor later on. Ironforge Portal, Bash, even a Justicar in his hand. I really like this play from George here.
Yeah, it's actually pretty. It's like understanding how to win the matchup. You don't necessarily have to kill your opponent. You can just run them out of resources as well.
Yep.
You do have to eventually transition to the gain life plan, but I mean he already has some of those important tools in his hand, Justicar and the Portal.
Yeah, we can see that there actually is that Malygos already for Ikealyou, and 2 Moonfires, 2 Feral Rages, so there's a lot of damage output. The bite is also something that we can't ignore.
Yeah, that's why I like it, man. When you're playing from the Druid, even though I know it's like you're unfavored in the matchup, it's just fun because you can do so much damage to your opponent. If you get to Living Roots as well, that's nutty amounts of damage.
It really would have. Like he could have actually went for like bite and Feral Rage for face here and try to set up a lethal if he had like an extra Living Roots to go with the Malygos. But here in this situation, it would have been a little bit too risky. All right, Arcane Giant. Well, it doesn't really get much better with the Execute, right?
Not really. I mean, you do want to keep in the back of your mind that if your opponent just plays a Malygos, how would you answer it?
Yeah.
But yeah, you also still have lots of ways to gain armor if you play Justicar this turn. And then you can just kind of answer whatever your opponent's doing.
Yeah. He is considering whether to go for the Bloodhoof Brave and the Hero Power or the Justicar.
Sure.
I like this option, getting that 2 extra there. If he could play the Justicar, he wouldn't be able to use the newly acquired, upgraded Hero Power anyway, so
right.
might as well play the 6 Toughness minion. That is probably more of a hurdle to remove for Ikealyou.
Yeah, very much so. Easy Wrath removal on the Justicar Trueheart with just 3 health.
Yep. Bloodhoof Brave is an interesting card. We don't see all that much of it, but George C is bringing actually 2 of those in his lineup, and I kind of like the card. I mean, the 6 Toughness Taunt is so huge. There are some ways to get punished by cards such as like Stampeding Kodo if you're playing in ranked play,
Bookworm.
but here or Bookworm. Yeah. But here in this tournament, nobody really seems to be playing those cards, so it's not an issue at all.
Speaking of not really being an issue, Ikealyou doesn't really care taking the extra damage. No. I know a lot of people will be like, isn't that the wrong sequencing of how you want to use it? But he just wanted to draw in case it would change his play. The 3 extra damage doesn't really matter too much in his book. Yeah,
like the Chromash also was already played, so not a big deal at all. That is the last Giant for Ikealyou. He also played 2 of his Ancient of Wars. What Josh C might be thinking here is that while that Shield Slam looks fairly obvious and it's going to be very strong, he might want to save it for the Malygos. But with the coin and the Brawl Sylvanas in his hand, that would be an additional way to deal with the potential Malygos.
Yeah, I actually really like just removing the Giant here. I guess he's thinking about also using his own life total in bad.
Ooh. I mean, in that case, I would probably imagine he's going to go for the Justicar and just maybe like coin out the tank up, because that 8 is so much damage. I don't know if I like taking. Well. Yeah, I don't think I like taking 8 in this instance, but it might work out. It's a little bit risky, but it could work out.
Whoa!
My goodness.
Well, I guess that pays off for the Defender of Arcus in the previous time.
5 mana, 7/7, and 4 armor. That's pretty good.
It's okay.
Is it the Yogg time? It just might be for Ikealyou. I don't really know how else he can win this. Swipe Feral Rage Hero, but that'll be 9 damage, but he still wouldn't get his opponent down to the Malygos range.
Look at George. He's looking around like, did anyone see that? He's so happy with himself. I love it. Oh man.
Yep. A lot of people saw that.
Yeah, Ikealyou, he can deal with this in multiple ways, but I think he's thinking about the best chances. Just playing Yogg, hopefully he gets one removal on it.
Yep. Here we go. That's a good start.
Very mediocre things to nothing's happening. Oh, okay. Well,
Yep.
that's kind of like removal.
Yep. Nothing too spectacular.
Well, there you go.
So far. Okay.
6 damage.
All right. Does he hit the right target? He
Yeah.
does. That actually was a significant amount of damage in the end. He got that. Was it Smite that he started out with, and now that Frostbolt in the end?
Yeah, and he also had the first Drax's hit.
Yep.
So, yeah, like around 10 damage this turn. And George C has to deal with that Yogg as well.
No, I don't think Ikealyou can be too disappointed with that Yogg, considering how few spells it was. It was a very good outcome. Getting that secret too. Competitive spirit, maybe not the greatest ever, but it doesn't do any harm either.
And at least messes with your opponent's mind for a little bit too.
Yep.
You never know if it makes him play awkwardly 1 or 2 times.
Another swipe.
Dang, it's a lot of damage if Malygos was able to get onto the board.
I'm interested to see if Ikealyou just kind of like goes all in here. He could swipe twice and maybe even innervate the Feral Rage to get 12 damage to his opponent's face. Then having the Malygos Moonfire for next turn.
Additional 12, but your opponent gain armor.
It doesn't feel like it would be enough, but it might be a risk that he like has to take.
Yep.
Just hoping to top deck the last Living Roots maybe.
Maybe if he just Malygos goes all in and then just like kills the Jessica Trueheart and then just hopes he can double swipe next turn.
Yeah, that's also a fine play. In the variants where players choose to play Emperor Thaurissan, and Ikealyou actually does play the Emperor. It is also an option to kind of like try to wait for that one and then try to innervate out the swipe to play together with the Malygos.
I mean, I like what you Feral Rage and then you just kind of go in on Malygos. I feel like that's your best chance to win. He used 2 executes already and a shield slam. I don't know what the chances of him being able to remove it are.
Oh, he is going for that hyper-aggressive line.
Okay, so he's going for the double swipe this time. And hope that he has the damage to end the game.
Yep, he needs that Living Roots from the top. It's kind of unlikely, but Ikealyou does, in a way, have his back against the wall. All of his major threats have already been played.
And George knows exactly what this means. He says your hand has to be a lot of direct damage if you're going to go for this win. You're fishing for 1 outer. So, you know, he has to gain armor as best as he can. Maybe even double bash to face.
Oh, that's an interesting attack there. Did he... I'm like just thinking if he tested for an eye before attacking with a Justicar.
There's no way to really... I guess you could bash first to test?
Yeah, like if he's bashing anyway, because it looks pretty obvious, so I kind of feel like he could have done that, but no punish here. The secret is a competitive spirit and not an eye for an eye.
That would have been nuts.
Yeah, he just really would have.
I don't know if that would have actually made the difference if he didn't draw Living Roots, because I think he would be able to regain it back with the bashes and then hero power anyways. But man, that would have been hilarious.
Yeah.
George C got a little too cocky at that point.
Going for 1 bash here. The second bash, would it take him out of the Living Roots range?
It would.
I think it does, yeah. It puts him to 22, so now after that, the damage potential from Ikealyou, not quite enough.
So he's going to Nourish. If he draws a way to remove the Justicar, he's still alive. So even if he doesn't get Living Roots, he can get Wrath.
He can Moonfire that off, I suppose.
Okay. Yeah, Moonfire it down and try to get Georgec to make up some of that damage.
Yeah. Seems like he has to do it, really. Because the Drake and the Moonfire.
Yeah, Maya Keeper. Maya Keeper, one of those cards that I'm not sure how much I like, and that's why I actually appreciate Ikealyou cutting it from his list. He has 1 of them instead of 2, and that's where he gets the second Ancient of War.
I also kind of like having just 1 Maya Keeper. I do think 1 is excellent, but I don't hate playing 2, but my personal preference is to run 2 of them.
Nice.
Only 1.
Big Daddy Saga comes in, and probably going to lock Ikealyou out of the game here. There's no way for you to really get past that, so you're staring at a lot of damage.
George C thinking whether or not to coin out the tank up here, but I think it might be better to hold on to it because of the Sylvanas and the Brawl being the other 2 cards in his hand. And we just saw Moonfire happen, 1 Living Roots is gone, so I don't think there's really any way for Ikealyou kill Georgec even from 18 HP.
No, he's actually aware of potential Raven Idol from Ikealyou. You know, Ikealyou actually has been very intent on not using his Raven Idol card. He had a Feral Rage that was taken off of the Raven Idol, so he's trying to hold on to it in case to mess with George's head. So that was a nice little play there from Ikealyou.
Ooh, no Sylvanas Windrunner from the portal, but that 6-6 definitely quite solid. I believe it's exactly average. At least close to average.
I think it's like one of those numbers to 5 is average, but yeah, it's very close.
Okay, so like 5-6 or 6-5 would maybe be average, so slightly above.
And that is definitely below average.
Yeah, but he did get a flame-rated faceless from the first one, so...
Yeah, it's all over the board, so to speak.
It really is.
And I think the big thing is I think George just wants to keep surviving. You know, I think the armor gain was even slightly more important for George. And at this point, Ikealyou still has a little bit more gas, but he also might just deck out. This is one of the problems with the Druid. You just might run out of resources.
Yeah, he doesn't really have much remaining there.
Oh, I wonder if that's relevant at all. The fact that the competitive spirit went off and you can trade easily now.
Yeah, it does help a little bit. Like having that 7-2 on the board now after Feral Rage kills the 2-4 is a huge deal. Georgec does not have a way to remove it without taking the 7.
Okay, George still has multiple ways he can brawl here, and then if the 7-2 survives, he can just kill it off, play Doomsayer. Okay, Emperor Thorazan survives, gives him opportunity to play the Doomsayer.
Yeah, I mean, it's better to play it than not to play it in my books. Like, why would you hold on to it? Georgec might be like kind of like a faking that he has a decision here, but I don't think there really is one. Just tank up Doomsayer.
Do you think it was necessary to brawl there from George?
They didn't really have much else to do, but the Sylvanas would have been an option.
It's interesting to think about because the problem that you know that your opponent still has Malygos.
Oh.
How do you actually kill Malygos now?
Oh, this is interesting. So this is what he was thinking about. So the Gorehowl would kill that Emperor over 2 turns, but he does end up taking a lot of damage from it in the process.
He takes 15 damage.
Yeah, that's right. And Ikealyou's last card, I believe, is Living Roots.
I don't know. If I'm Ikealyou, I'd probably just plot Malygos this turn and try to see how much mileage I can get out of him. Especially if I'm running out of cards. I might just have to use Malygos to hit face. Yeah, this is it. Ikealyou's final push.
Yep.
Just all in. Why not? And just see what you got, George. If you can deal with this Malygos, I guess George can just play Sylvanas and over the course of turns negate the damage in. So.
Yeah.